I'm excited. I can't wait till the results come in this evening. I'm going to come in by a landslide, and when I do, the people will speak.
Yeah, Tiffany Henyard didn't just lose tonight. You might call this a political annihilation.
Ain't nothing changed, nothing new here to see. This ain't nothing but some political maneuvering.
America.
Welcome to the eulogy, eat it up. It's called political buffoonery.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to This Week in DUMBmocracy, where we showcase some of the dumbest newsmakers of the week. Last night in Dolton, Illinois, there was a Democratic primary, and this guy that you say bringing up the rear with all the sick dance moves, Jason House and his clean house slate, well, they did just that. Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard and her supporters were swept out of office by like a 7-1 margin. It was a massacre. It was crazy. They were rocking all night long in House's victory party here. Meanwhile, Henyard's post-election soiree, let's just say it wasn't well attended. I mean, Henyard didn't even bother to show up to her own party. That's because many in the area are calling this a political annihilation. I mean, look at these numbers here. 87, almost 88% for House. Henyard barely got 540 votes. I can't believe she got that much. But we're going to go over this election, what happened yesterday in the run-up to it, and what the fallout is going to be afterwards, and even some lessons that still need to be learned in Dolton. But before we get to all that, I'm going to ask you guys to please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other shows. And if you like what you're seeing here in this or any other video on the channel, smash that thumbs up button. Like, comment, share the show with your friends. All that really, really good stuff. Because all that helps this channel grow thanks to the YouTube algorithm.
Feed me, Seymour.
As always, gang, thank you so much for all that you do to help grow the channel, whether you're watching on YouTube, on Rumble, on X, maybe you're checking out some videos on Instagram, on Facebook. Whatever you're doing really well because we've had a record month of viewership thanks to all of you. And if you happen to be a newbie who may be finding the channel for the first time, maybe you're looking up stuff about the super mayor and her downfall, well, I'm glad that you're here, and I hope that this video earns your subscription. As we look back on the events of this primary election, what happened, what the results were, and what it all means for the super mayor going forward. But before we get to all the shenanigans and buffoonery happening in Dolton, I just want to remind you guys that tonight, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, me and Ross Galloway, we're going back behind enemy lines, reviewing the news of the week in politics. We're sure to touch on what's going on with Joy Reid and her swan song from MSDNC. Alec Baldwin ran into a Trump impersonator and things did not go well. And I'm sure we'll touch on a lot of news that breaks during the day here today. Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here, behind enemy lines. I hope to see you live. And if you can't make it live, well, you can always catch it on replay later on. Now let's get to Election Day, primary day in Dolton. This was the scene early on during the day.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard dancing Tuesday morning outside of Lester Longmain Fieldhouse. She's running again for mayor of Dolton. She tells WGN there's no question about it. She's walking away with the win tonight.
I mean, look how bubbly and happy she looks. She's dancing to some music in the background, which, by the way, we'll play for you later because it does have to do with her campaign. And if she doesn't already know that she's headed for a slaughter, you couldn't really tell by the way she's acting. She's acting like she's got this thing in the bag.
You gotta fake it till you make it.
Well, I'm going to unite my community when I get rid of this board. And that's going to unite my community. They said clean house. They damn right. We're going to clean house today.
WGN Investigates has reported extensively about Henyard's questionable spending. The embattled mayor and her crew went to Las Vegas for a shopping center convention in May 2023.
And by the way, we've covered this before in past videos. Throughout this summary, you're going to see things flashing in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Those are links to past videos we've done on Tiffany Henyard. Check those out when you can.
It's unclear if anything productive was accomplished. More than $100 grand spent on travel, including stays at Times Square and Four Seasons. The Board of Trustees hired former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot to investigate the mismanagement of money. Lightfoot claims Henyard and her crew hid spending. Henyard fires back.
Y'all need to take her back. You want to come get her? I think y'all booted her out of Chicago, so I don't know why she's over here.
Residents have been asking for accountability and transparency.
We did that. If you want to go to Tiffany Henyard or Truth Speaks on YouTube, you'll see the receipts, the real receipts. And that's what I want y'all to showcase when y'all going live. some receipts that you can take to the bank. So you'll see that the trustees been stealing money.
Senior trustee Jason Howe, someone who stood by her side when she took the win in 2021, no longer a friend. Now one of her critics who wants her seat. He says residents deserve real change.
We want to bring a community feel. We want to make sure we change the narrative and make sure that everybody's included in government. The mayor's office hiding information from the community, not turning over where our financial condition is, security detail that cost us multiple millions of dollars, and the list goes on and on. First-class trips on the taxpayer's dime. That shouldn't happen.
But Henyard standing firm.
I see no competition. So when I come in with a landslide this evening, I'm going to be so great. Y'all can all come to the after party.
She's coming in with the landslide. Well, we know that didn't work out. In fact, it was the complete opposite. No one's going to mistake Tiffany Henyard for a psychic based on what happened with this election. But you can just feel the ickiness coming off her, right? The audacity, the audaciousness from her. It's just palpable at this point. Walking around like her you-know-what don't stink. Meanwhile, she's cost her town millions. There are stories, again, you can check them out in past videos that we've done, but also check out Nate the Lawyer and Actual Justice Warrior. We're going to put links to their playlists in the description for the video because, man, they've been covering this for a long time, a lot longer than I have and more in-depth than I ever could. So kudos to both Nate and Actual Justice Warrior for what they did with this story. Tiffany Henyard, as you can see, not the most likable character, faking it till she makes it. Except her time from making it, well, that's come to an abrupt ending. But that doesn't mean we can't have a little bit more fun with Henyard as she heads out the door here. I want you to listen to this part of the interview she did with CBS that didn't make the cut for that news report that happened yesterday afternoon.
What's your mood? What's the mood like this morning so far as you've just been going around the village of Dolton?
My mood is I'm starving the bud. I'm feeding the people. That's what I'm doing. So.
Now that sounds like a really weird response from an incumbent mayor. Well, for those of you who don't know Tiffany Henyard, she's not exactly the most conventional politician you'll see. Very unrefined, very lowbrow. You heard the allegations about stealing money and all that. But she's also one of the cringiest politicians you'll ever see. That sing-song response she gave, well, that's from this.
She got another exclusive coming.
Y'all ready for this?
I'm starving the bud, I'm feeding the people. They put me in office and treat me like it's illegal to feed the people, to feed the people. I gave back to communities and I cleaned the streets up. I'm starving the bud, I'm feeding the people. They put me in office and treat me like it's illegal to feed the people, to feed the people, to feed my people, to feed my people. From Vegas to Chicago, I rode around in Tahoe.
Listen, I'm sorry I had to do that to y'all, but if I had to hear it, you had to hear it. Could you imagine a serious politician coming up with nonsense like that, with buffoonery like that? Well, that's because Tiffany Henyard is not only irredeemable in the worst sense possible. She's the radioactive buffoon that I talk about in my book, Schnooks, Crooks, Lies, and Scoundrels, a field guide to identifying political buffoons. That's available right now on Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, and other online bookstores, including at shop.buffoonoftheweek.com.
This guy is a grifter.
So like I said, Henyard is that radioactive buffoon that is so corrupt and so irredeemable that she takes down her supporters with her. And we saw that in this election because not only did Henyard lose, but her entire slate lost and lost big. Single digits for the members of the Board of Trustees that were running for re-election. It was an absolute massacre at the polls for them. But she's also a political parasite, as evidenced by this nonchalant, unserious demeanor that she portrays. She is not serious about running for office. She's only serious about having the power and the money and the prestige and the influence that comes with political office. I talk about these sorts of parasites in the book as well. And the word that comes to mind that I use in the book is snollygoster. She is an unserious person in politics who has nothing really to say, but desperately wants and needs to hold office anyway. We see this in her flippant responses to the media, her complete disregard for any sort of serious allegations, and just in her overall demeanor. And this does Tiffany Henyard in, as you'll see when we come back from the break, looking at the news from the results of the election that happened last night. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show.
An explosion of cheers and emotion tonight as the numbers started coming in, showing Jason House and his slate winning in a landslide. Some people even started dancing. Tonight's election effectively signals the end of the 4-year tumultuous term of Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who garnered national attention for her lavish spending, personal perks, and questionable contracts, all of which are now at the center of an FBI investigation. Now, the past few months in Dolton have been political chaos with canceled meetings, a no-show mayor, even a fistfight at the Thornton Township meeting where Henyard is also the elected supervisor. House telling the crowd tonight that Dolton's nightmare is finally over.
We faced 4 years of intimidation, 4 years of failure, and tonight is the new day for the community of Dolton.
We have suffered for 4 years, and now victory. Yes. We are claiming victory today is ours.
Henyard is out. We dancing all night, y'all, all night. We so happy.
So not only did Jason House win, but also his backed clerk and 3 of the trustees, which means there will be almost a full slate of new trustees on the Dolton Village Board that are supporting Jason House. A huge political shakeup here in Dolton tonight. This is the primary election. There's a general election still with an independent candidate running against House on April 1st, but for all practical purposes, here in a very blue suburb, it is the general election as well.
And that's something we have to talk about. We've talked about it in the context of the People's Republic of New York City, how it is essentially a one-party city. And we've been seeing so much corruption, so many allegations coming out of that one-party rule, that it kind of proves the point that one-party systems just lend themselves to more shenanigans and buffoonery in office. It breeds people like Tiffany Henyard. You know what else breeds things like Tiffany Henyard? Low voter turnout. Now, you may have heard the news report say that turnout for this election was big, much bigger than it was when Tiffany Henyard got elected. I went and did the research. During Henyard's election, there was 8% voter turnout.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
In this election, less than 30% voter turnout. You see the numbers there on the screen. When you have an executive being decided by a couple of thousand votes in a town with a population of about 20,000, that's not good. You got to get those voters out, and voters out there. The reason why you end up with a Tiffany Henyard like this is because you let 8% of your voting population pick your leader.
You have to take your power back.
Well, what happens when one party dominates an area? Well, that lends itself to more self-dealing, more corruption, more shenanigans and buffoonery, and cults of personality like those around Henyard who got her into office.
Don't let that happen.
And even now, you see sycophants, a couple of hundred of them still voted for Henyard here. Luckily for Dolton, it was a bigger turnout. 3 times as big, actually, as somewhere around 25 to 26% turned out, which is still not enough, by the way. If Tiffany Henyard's nonsense, her irredeemable behavior, wasn't enough to get the majority of voters to turn out to vote against her, well, then maybe I need to send this book out to every single person in Dolton, Illinois. Because the way you deal with political buffoons like this is you have to show up, you have to be an active voting population, and you gotta keep vigilant against buffoons like this. That's what Jason House and his slate were trying to do. But even with all this nonsense, less than 30% showed up to vote. If you're not showing up for this buffoonery, this tyrant wannabe, then you deserve what you get going forward. Dolton now has another chance to set things right. Hopefully they will.
Get your shit together!
As for Henyard, political gadflies and parasites like her, they don't go away easily. She's going to be presumably a write-in candidate for the Dolton supervisor position, which, by the way, Democrats took her out of and put in another slate to run through their own internal party process, which we covered on this channel as well. But I don't think she's done terrorizing these people. And let's not forget, she's under federal investigation still. She doesn't have her office to bargain with as a way to avoid punishment for that anymore, thanks to this election. So we may be talking more about the downfall of Tiffany Henyard in future videos, watching this spiral out of control. People want to say that this is a victory. It's a victory, yes, but it's not the victory. There's still a lot to play out here. And still more videos for Nate the lawyer and an actual justice warrior to make.
It's not over yet.
But hey, listen, that's just my opinion on this whole situation. I want to know what you think about this whole Tiffany Henyard saga that's been going on for years. Do the people of Dolton get what they deserve when they don't show up to vote? Or is Tiffany Henyard just so irredeemable that nobody, no matter how apathetic they are when it comes to their government, deserves to be living under the thumb of a wannabe tyrant like that? Let me know what you think. Is this the end of her, even? I want to hear what you have to say in the comments. And as always, like and share this video with your friends. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other shows. I want to talk about this with you, not only right now, but during our live show tonight, Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time at Behind Enemy Lines, where we talk about all the other shenanigans and buffoonery happening every day this week in Dumbmocracy. See you tonight, Behind Enemy Lines, 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
All views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called political buffoonery.